this St. Louis now.
Oh no! Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course. And yes, I have gotten my Moskva. It is amazing. I am very, very happy with it. And you'll notice as well that we are in the same battle. I wasn't able to get in the same division, obviously, but we were able to drop in. And I've got Pink, Tercep, and Perfect on my ally team, and they're all members of NGA. Yes, try saying that 3 times fast. Anyway, before we get too far into the replay and all that lovely stuff, we have to talk contest, because today we are doing a contest. Yes. So details of the contest. We are going to run tier 7. Highest damage in the in a tier 7 ship can be any ship at tier 7, excluding the Flint. Cannot be the Flint. I'm not sure if the Flint is at tier 7. I think it is, but excluding the Flint. You can't use the Flint, and obviously, I mean, you can't use any like super test ships or anything like that, right? It has to be a ship that is open and available to everyone. So that's the requirement there, and it's just all out damage. So whoever can do the most damage at tier 7. We'll be giving away a first and second and third place prize. The contest, oh yes, it runs, should say that, runs from November 28th until December 4th. So December 4th is a Sunday, because this video is coming out a little late on the 28th of November because of work and all that lovely stuff. But anyway, we'll have it run until December 4th. So December 4th at midnight, that would be midnight Atlantic Standard Time. I'm using my time zone. So midnight my time on Sunday is the deadline to submit. What you need to submit is you need to submit the personal score screen at the end of the battle. It doesn't matter if the battle was a defeat, a victory, or a loss. That makes no difference. Solely looking at damage here. So the personal score screen, in case you didn't know, is just simply the screen that flashes up as soon as the battle ends. It says either victory, defeat, or draw. So take a screenshot of that screen. In the email, include what server you play on. If you want to include your name and ships as well, that's fine, but I'm going to be able to see that information from the screenshot anyway. So I need to know what server you're on, and in the subject line, just put tier 7 contest. That would be great. That way I can just keep them all organized and whatnot. If any of you have already submitted a replay today, just submitting a replay for me to put on the channel, that won't count. No. You would need to get something, show the replay that is from between November 28th and December 4th. That's another thing that I'm looking for as well, right? The date, so that people aren't submitting old replays. That's right. You need to actually submit a replay in that time frame. And then Sunday will be, Sunday, December 4th at midnight will be the cutoff for it. I'll just go ahead and announce winners on Monday. Hopefully, it's not a requirement, but hopefully you could also submit complete screenshots and a replay. Specifically those who could win. So, I mean, you don't have to. You definitely don't have to. That's fine and cool if you don't. But I will reach out to the top 3 people at the end of the contest if I haven't already received a replay from them. I'm going to reach out to you guys to see if I can get those replays. Because I know we didn't do it for the last contest, and it was one of the criticisms of the last contest. Or, constructive feedback, I should say. Criticism has a negative connotation. Constructive feedback that I make a video of the actual winning replay, so I'm going to try and do that. Any server at all. I'm not going to limit it to North American server. That's why in your email I need to know what server you play on. If you're on the EU, that's great. North America, awesome. Southeast Asia, not a problem, right? I'll figure it out. Get you your prize. Prizes. What are going to be the prizes, Thotgor? Well, it is in Canadian dollars, so I'm going to throw that up there right now. The Canadian dollar is about 76 cents, I think is what it closed today at against the US dollar, so take that as you will. But I'm going to offer up $80 for first prize. I should mark that down. because I didn't. So there we go, $80 for first place. Now, it's going to be very similar to last time. We had the contest, and we ran it like this. You know, it's $80 Canadian of basically whatever you want from the premium shop, right? If it, as long as it costs $80, or if you want to split it up, or if you know, because some people, it's always different. Right, you don't necessarily want a certain ship. Maybe you just want straight up gold. Maybe you want credits with it. I don't know, right? So $80 worth of whatever you want. And I know that there are a few bundles right now in the premium shop. I mean, obviously, I think those may be expiring Thanksgiving, but you know, the Perth and whatnot is in there. So take a look. Take a look. Now, second place, we're going to be looking at $65 Canadian is what second place is going to win. Third place, we're going to drop down to $50 Canadian, and that's what third place is going to win. So that is the price range for the prizes. I've done this again. I mean, if this is your first time, because I've only ran 2 contests. This is our second contest, everyone. But the first time, right, I really didn't want to limit people on like the ship, certain ship or certain package or anything like that. Whatever you want for that value of money, Canadian dollars, because I'm going to be purchasing it Canadian dollars, that is what you're going to get. We'll be in contact once winners are chosen, because I'll just respond back to your email, let you know that you've won, and figure out what you want for your prize. And the only rule, I guess, obviously the screenshot. I want to know, you got to have your screenshot there, so it's between the dates and whatnot. But I would ask as well that you are a subscriber, so I will be checking that as best I can, obviously. But I will be checking that to make sure that people aren't slipping under the radar. I mean, if I had enough money, I would just reward like the first 100 subscribers of the channel and then just work up that way, right? But that would cost a lot of money. So at the very least, this way, I mean, what are we at? We're at about 563 subscribers as of today, so 1 in a 563 chance of winning, which is pretty decent odds when you consider other forms of gambling, quote unquote, I suppose, right? Anyway. So that's a contest. If I rambled too much or whatever, and you didn't, something wasn't quite clear, be sure to let me know in the comments. I'll update you on that. And drop the pen, and we're moving into the replay. Moskva. Yes. This Moskva is amazing. Amazing. It's amazing because it does things that I didn't know a ship in this game could do. Basically, accuracy. She can fire at anything from any range and hit it with ease. It's generally my own incompetence is the reason why the guns aren't landing on target. It has nothing to do with the guns. The guns are amazing. It's usually my own, like I say, incompetence, my own fault, whatever you want to call it, that the guns aren't landing where they need to land. So that really has me impressed with the ship, and it maybe is leading to a little bit of a biased opinion about it, because there are definitely things that she does not do very good at all, but easily overcome. I mean, by this point in my grind on this Russian cruiser line, I am so comfortable with Russian cruisers that the fact that, they get hit by anything and they could explode, well, not as quickly as a British cruiser, granted, but they could still explode. It doesn't really faze me because I'm so used to dodging, maneuvering, and all that lovely stuff. My biggest criticism of the Moskva actually is her concealment. I've got my captain on there, fully trained with Concealment Expert. I've got the module on there as well. I've got the camo, all that stuff going on. I mean, the only thing I don't have is premium camo, I suppose. But I've got all that going on, and I'm still at a pretty high detectability range, or pretty high concealment, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Of course, now that I mention it, I have no idea what it actually is, but I think I want to say that it's around like 14, somewhere around there. You can or 15 maybe. You can see it right there on the mini map right now because it'll go in and out. But it's not as much as I would want it to be, because the Moskva is a large ship. She is very, very big. I mean, if you were to put her side by side to a North Carolina, the Moskva might be the same size as a North Carolina, and maybe, a little bigger, who knows, but she's a large ship, so when she fires, everyone sees you fire, so you can't really get a good stealth firing going on. because her range is 22 kilometers. Now, at 22 kilometers out, yes, you will hit things if you are a good aim, and that pretty much is a guarantee with the ship itself. The problem is that at 22 kilometers out, you are doing not a whole lot for your team, right? You may be shooting at the one ship, the one or two ships that you are able to shoot at, but you're not close enough in to be able to take advantage of situations that might present themselves, right? Opportunities that might present themselves while the battle is taking place. You are too far back to be able to do that, and it is an issue because cruisers really excel at those sorts of maneuvers, right? It's one of my favorite things to do in my Japanese cruisers because the Japanese cruisers have pretty decent concealment. They have amazing armor piercing, and well, not amazing armor piercing. I think it's pretty good armor piercing, but really good high explosive as well. And they have torpedoes. So they can really, you know, fight their way in, and when an opportunity presents itself, they can take advantage of it. And if that opportunity leads them to get a little closer in, yeah, you can definitely do a whole bunch of damage. But whatever, we're in the Moskva. So, you know, there is that going for it. So you have the range to definitely shoot across the map. That's not a problem. And it's taken me a few battles to get this into my head with the Moskva, especially coming off the Donskoy. I can't stay in the back and just spam HE in people's faces and burn them down. It's not going to work at this tier because in the Donskoy matches, you know, there were the battles where yes, you were the highest tier, right? Highest tier being tier 9, and people are really counting on you. There were some of those, but there were far and few between. At tier 9 in Donskoy, I could stay back a bit and fire at people without too much trouble because I was usually in tier 10 battles, and usually the tier 10s were up front doing all the stuff, right? And you saw that in my replays, I'll admit it. It's not a problem. I'm not a convoluted person. So, I mean, that's exactly what I was doing and what I was able to do in the Donskoy. At tier 10, it is different. I am now in the position where I need to be doing things because it is expected and required, really, to do things. Now, that doesn't mean that you go all out and charge in your cruiser, but, you know, this is a good example of a game where I did not stay in the back and just sort of screw around. You saw earlier in the replay I was, you know, kind of screwing off there in the north on A. Pink Mitsubishi, who's, you know, we're all in TeamSpeak here, he called it out in the channel, myself and Perfect. He said, what the hell are you guys doing up there? And totally right. Totally right. But still, you know, got in here and, you know, at tier 10, it really, you know, it's expected. You have the most powerful ship. Doesn't mean you have to go charging in there and be the first one to die, but it definitely does mean that you need to utilize your ship in order to effectively win these battles, right? And contribute to them as well, I should say. Contributing is huge. You can scrape by on the, you know, just with letting other people carry things, but if you can do it, it's only going to pay off more for you. Another thing I had to get used to on the Moskva here as well is that she doesn't have any torpedoes. It does freak me out a little, I'm not going to lie. All of my cruisers have torpedoes, so it's a little bit freaky, but the guns, amazing. So whatever, I suppose, right? I mean, the amount of damage I was doing to that Izumo there before Tursip swooped in and you know, finished him off was pretty significant. So not too bad at all. She's not too maneuverable. I do have the rudder shift module on her as well, not the crazy one that does, you know, the crazy turning, just the normal one. So she does handle like a typical Russian cruiser in that she's you know, long and narrow and fairly slow to turn and takes nice long wide turns, but still maneuverable enough. I still, you know, you get her at speed, she's good. Now we're going to duke it out, attempt to duke it out against a Zhao there off in the distance. I was very curious to know how I would do against an enemy Zhao. Now obviously it does depend on the Zhao player, and then obviously the enemy battleship pops up, but I'm keeping the Zhao player in mind, because if I can get an opportunity to start firing on that Zhao player, I definitely want to, just to see how, you know, things go against another enemy Zhao. The Moskva does have decent AA. It's not too bad at all. I didn't upgrade the AA at all. All of the modules that I purchased for the ship were for concealment, damage control, and main guns. All of them. Because, you know, the guns, amazing. I want to make these guns even better, because they are amazing. But anyway... Anyway, we do see as well some of the turning radius going on here with the Moskva, right? It does happen. Now, obviously, as well, we get the normal radar here that the Russian cruisers have as well, so that is great. I do really enjoy the radar. And in this battle, I think I've only used it once so far. I'm going to make my way back up to A in case, because you can see that, you know, Tursip is dealing with an enemy destroyer up there, so just in case it's needed. We see the Zhao pop up once again, and we're going to put a few shots off into the Zhao. Now, in the description for the Moskva, it says that the rate of fire of the ship is slower than that of her contemporaries. I had to think about that one for a minute, because I don't consider the rate of fire of the Moskva to be slow. It might not be the fastest, I don't know, I never actually looked, but I don't consider it to be slow, that's for sure. I actually really enjoy the rate of fire of the ship. I mean, I would love to have that fourth turret on the stern. I think that would be amazing, but I also think that would be overpowered, because with Demolition Expert, on the Moskva, I can set a whole crap ton of fires, right? And you can see the number of fires I've set so far in this battle, and I mean, this battle isn't even a great, like, you know, here's a bunch of damage I did in my tier 10 or anything like that. You know, this battle is definitely more about teamwork and helping each other out and stuff, just as the gameplay goes. But if I could, it would take a bit of grinding, but I'm sure that I could play and get a crazy game going where, like, the fires are just ridiculous and I do a bunch of damage because of fire. So adding that fourth turret, I think, would make the ship just a little more, or a little overpowered, and it would just be too much. We already have a Zhao. The Zhao is amazing. I guess the thing with the Zhao is that, you know, she doesn't have the longest range. It's still pretty damn good. But her rate of fire and her turret traverse is slow, where, you know, you don't necessarily get that with some of the other cruisers. But her, you know, in terms of being able to set fires, is very, very high indeed. With the fourth turret on the Moskva, I think it would just be too much. I think just too much. So we have all three caps secured at this point in time. That is not too shabby at all. You can see that Tursip was able to deal with the enemy destroyer without too much issue at all. So I'm just going to maneuver back and try to maintain firing distance and, well, firing range onto this enemy aircraft carrier here. You can see I do have some final shots going in, so maybe I'll get the kill on that. Who knows? There we go. Managed to get the kill on the enemy aircraft carrier. We only have one enemy ship remaining as the points count up. Last ship, I do believe, was the Zhao, but points count up, and we win. Fantastic. So not a bad game in the Moskva. Like I say, you know, the gameplay-wise, more about teamwork, but do really enjoy the Moskva. I really enjoyed the Russian cruiser line the whole way through, and to be honest, I knew I would, and most of the reason why I knew I would was because the game developers are in fact Russian. I don't talk about World of Tanks a whole lot, but I was heavily invested in World of Tanks. When it first came out, I was in the closed beta and worked all the way through that stuff and whatnot. Where was I going with that? The Russians, yes. Russians. But yeah, and the Russian tank line was, obviously one of the best tank lines when I was playing anyway. I don't know about nowadays, but it was because of the developer heavy bias, right? So I knew that I was really going to enjoy the Russian cruisers because there's obviously going to be a lot of bias at play here, and was not disappointed. Anyway, that is today's video. We did a lot in today's video, talked about that contest, so don't forget the contest. If you're not a subscriber, you got to hit subscribe, and then, you know, make sure that you submit a replay, or a screenshot between November 28th and December 4th of yourself, tier 7, doing a bunch of damage. Most damage is going to win first prize, and again, the cutoff is December 4th at midnight, my time, Atlantic Standard Time. Anyway, folks, leave any comments or questions you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.